Okay, so game 3 seems fairly straightforward, honestly. Bandit camp, wharf, dungeon, and that's about it. Maybe you play with an enchantress, I'm not sure, but your actions are limited. There's only one stack of villages, and I feel like you want to use wharves as much as possible. We have bandit fort on the side, which means I told myself at the beginning of the game, okay, don't buy silver, don't buy gold, don't buy silver, don't buy gold. Guess what I go and do? I buy a silver. Anyways, and more important on the top is Salt the Earth, which is a tremendous card for ending the game, and another reason why you might want a bit more plus buy in your deck from the Wolves. Can quickly end the game, Salt the Earth. So we actually both open Dungeon and Silver here. And like I said, told myself at the beginning of the game, don't buy silver, don't stop it. Stop buying, you bought the silver. Anyways, my opponent opened Dungeon Silver, which is cool and all, right? I understand what you're trying to do. I bought it because you want to get to 5, to get to Wharf, like we both do here. However, my opponent gets to put his dungeon into play, so he's a little bit ahead there. So I guess we both have the yellow curses, so it's not so bad, but I would have opened differently if somehow I could sink it into my head that Bandit Fort is alive and well in on this board. Perhaps Dungeon Vassal, Dungeon Enchantress to get to war via the draw. But we have the silvers, whatever. They do a good bit of work for us. The silvers, I don't know if it's worth -2 points, but we have the silvers. So my opponent is drawing quite well here, and he has 2 wolves already. He's seeing his dungeons right away, and he's able to chain his wolves end to end beautifully here. 7 here, very easy bandit camp, pool diver pickup, very natural, very easy. Now I pick up an enchantress on my last turn. I picked up an enchantress on my last turn. I felt like, look, my opponent is doing well. Perhaps the only way that I can catch up is if I disrupt him a little bit, which is what the Enchantress is for. We don't have trashing on this board, so perhaps early on in this game I might be able to force a critical action card to become neutered in a sense. Perhaps. I felt like that was my only chance to catch up in this game. So I pick up a Sage here. I'm not really sure. I didn't want a silver. I didn't feel like I wanted a dungeon. Sage is sort of a filler card at this point in the deck in my mind, but it actually puts in a good bit of work for me, and you'll see later how it does that. So Bandit Camp and Sage for my opponent. I thought that would have been Wharf and Sage, but Bandit Camp is fine too. We could get the Wharves after. Second Wharf for me at this point. We also have the Necropolis in our deck, which is going to be quite helpful, especially considering ideally we get 5 villages each. The extra source actions from the Necropolis could come in quite handy. The reason I didn't want to go for the Enchantress, well I mentioned it already, is because actions are kinda tight on this board and I would rather use them for Wolves, honestly. Or nice things like Legionary, but Legionary requires a gold and I'm not about picking up a gold when Bandit Fort is around. Of course, I might just forget and do it anyway. So my opponent continues to build quite nicely here, picking up another wharf, and that's all we're going to do for the middle part of this game. Just buy wharves and buy bandit camps. There's nothing else to do really. I get rid of this dungeon here because I do not want to trigger the shuffle. And 7 is an easy wharf and pool diver. No, bandit camp and pool diver for me. That should have been a wharf. I don't know why I didn't buy a wharf there. Anyways, bandit camp and pool diver for me. Now, at this point in the game, I felt lost, right? I felt like, look, my opponent is just going to win. I had already written off myself in this game. The only thing I could hope to do, my opponent gets 11 here, which is a nice bandit camp wharf, right? Easy pickings. But yeah, so the only thing that I could do here, I felt, was maybe sneak out our 3 pile. So we have been picking up Pearl Divers when we have the extra money and the buy, just because, well, they don't really harm the deck too much. But hopefully, I'm hoping that gives me a sneaky pile out. We both have the silvers, we're both tied on points, so I'm just keeping an eye on the Pearl Divers for now. Maybe I could get a pile out from there. That's all I'm looking for at this point in the game. So I noticed actually that my one Enchantress disrupted him a little bit, if not last turn, the turn before. So seeing that success, I decided to pick up another Enchantress and keep up the pressure. Maybe I could catch up a bit more. The issue with opening with the Enchantress, I mentioned opening with the Enchantress, had I remembered Bandit Fort, is that it converts Necropolis into a pretty good card, which is an issue, especially in the opening. You don't really want to, you know, give your opponent a little bit extra. It might get him up to War, for example, when he would not ordinarily be able to get there. And it's also an issue here. This time my opponent, well, did he? Yeah, this time he used his Necropolis as +1 card, +1 action on my Enchantress. So that's the only issue with the Enchantress. And as you get more action cards, the Enchantress becomes less potent because you have more flexibility. Okay, I could just, you know, fodder this action card and then continue with my turn as per usual. Now, Patrol from my opponent here, I didn't like it. I prefer the Wolves because of the options it gives you with the plus buy. It gives you a pilot on the estates, perhaps, a pilot on the Pearl Divers. It draws more than Patrol if Patrol picks up no green cards, and he has only 1 green card in his deck right now, so at best Patrol and Wolf draw the same number of cards. But the buys are a big deal here, and I felt like he should have picked up a Wolf there. Not just for the pile out potential, but also for the salt-in that could happen later in the game. Anyways, I'm not going to complain. I have... Here, look, there's where the Enchantress tripped him up, I think. I'm not sure. I'm not complaining, like I said, I will happily pick up the Wolves where possible. I understand why he buys the Patrol though. He's thinking about the end game. I'm thinking a bit into the future. Okay, he's going to buy provinces and then he'll have the Patrol around to draw the provinces and it won't hurt his deck. Yeah, but with the Wolves, you don't have to get to that point, I feel. So now I have a bit more things in my deck, and this is where the Sage is very, very nice. You see, I can trigger a shuffle and squeeze as much money out of my deck as possible, and then the Sage flips everything. Chancellor, Sage, Champion. That was unexpected, but I'm very, very happy that the Sage is doing that kind of work for me. Considered Vassal here, but I felt like it was too much of a risk to just include that Vassal. If it finds an action card, it doesn't use up an action from you, but to reliably do that, I would have to know that an action card is there with my Pearl Diver. I only have 2 of those guys in my deck, so I feel like a Dungeon is better than the Vassal. Maybe I'm wrong. I wanted the Vassal for the money, of course, not for like anything else. So, not much to say here. The turns are getting a bit longer just because, well, we have more action cards to play. And my opponent actually picks up more Patrols. Another one or 2 more, I believe. Like I said, I think the Wharf, you want the Wharf, right? Maybe he was trying to avoid a pilot too. I'm not sure if that was in his mind when he picked up the Patrols. Yeah, here goes another Patrol and Bandit Camp, and I'm hoping he picks up a Pearl Diver. No, he doesn't pick up a Pearl Diver. Come on, man. Give me a little out here. Give me a little sniff in the dark. But nah, he's too careful to allow that to happen. So I play my Sage a bit early here, which is a mistake. I should not be doing that, especially seeing the kind of work it put in last turn. I cannot quite draw my deck. I don't have as many draw cards as my opponent. He hasn't been able to draw his deck yet. I'm not sure why. I would love to say the Enchantress is causing that, but I feel like that's not the case. I don't know why. Not playing the dungeon again here for fear of triggering the shuffle. So had I kept the Sage, I would have been able to play that dungeon, perhaps exchanging some coppers for spoils, increasing my output for this turn, and then the Sage could have come down, shuffled everything away. That's a brilliant. This is the most brilliant use of Sage I've seen. So, as a Chancellor, that is what I mean. I pick up the Bandit Camps here because, well, I need to. I only have 3 of them, and it means I level up the Bandit Camp split on my opponent. There's lots of draw. I don't mind if the Wolves go away. I could get Rangers for draw. But if the Bandit Camps go away, then I'm in a very tough spot. So, Bandit Camp, Pearl Diver for me. That key Pearl Diver. Just keeping an eye on it. Just keeping watch. Just keeping watch. Alright, so now we enter the interesting end game here from me and my opponent. So, here's what is going to happen for him on this turn. He's going to come up with $22, I believe. And he is going to go for 2 provinces and a dungeon, I believe. And I'm not sure what else. But the important thing, and a vassal. The important thing is the 2 provinces. Also important is that he has 5 buys and $22 right now in his deck. Right, so but the limitation there is the buys, of course, but 5 buys and $20 means 5 times 4, 5 salt the earths, right? Which means I can't even pick up a province on my turn safely because he could just salt and win the game. That's tremendous. That is absolutely tremendous. This is like governor level endgame where you can't even touch the province pile when there's 6 in it. That's crazy. So he gets the 2 provinces, a very, very good play from him. Like I said, it puts me in a very uncomfortable position. I don't know that I have any play here, honestly. I don't think I could do anything to give me a chance at winning. So I come up with 21 and 5 buys here on my turn, and I considered a couple things. You could just go province, duchy, and pray, but I feel like a better option is triple patrol for draw, so I can draw more spoils, and a duchy. Now the duchy, I don't know, all this depends on him stalling really, because if he has any kind of turn, any decent turn, I feel like he'll make a play that'll shut me out of the game. But at this point I felt like triple patrol duchy gave me the best chance of winning later in the game. I don't end up making that play because for some reason I felt like I had $25 and I was planning to go for quad duchy and patrol. Quad duchy levels me on points with him, so he can't pile out with just his 5 buys. So I do avoid losing on the next turn, but I didn't really set myself up to win on any turn after that, if you follow what I'm saying. So I felt like the 3 patrols plus 1 duchy would have given me winning chances, but the quad duchy just delays the inevitable. So that's what I ended up doing, the 4 duchies, and I was going to buy a patrol. You'll see my mouse move, but I don't have the money for the patrol, unfortunately, here. Also, the 5 buys means, and the 6 provinces means I can't salt to end the game. Not that that would do me any good. Anyways, now my opponent's turn here, on what he ends up coming up with is a lot more money than I anticipated. I expected something like $22 again. He had enough money for triple province, and that really just puts everything that I had in my mind out the window. I don't think I had a play after I saw the kind of money he was able to generate on this turn here. Not only is he able to triple province, but he's also able to salt 1 province away. So 4 provinces leave the pile and he takes a 19-point lead, and I don't think I could catch up with 19 points. Salting the earth there is kind of like buying an estate, just giving you that extra across the line. But it also decreases the amount of provinces that he has to buy on his next turn to win, because he is obviously cognizant that he may stall, and 16 is a lot easier to get to than 24. So I don't come up with anything grand here. I just pick up a couple duchies, I believe, or a duchy and a patrol at this point, hoping that, I don't know, he has to go to the bathroom for very long and he'll time out or something. But doesn't happen that way. He ends up coming up with a near full turn next turn and is able to buy out the last two provinces. So I felt like I was behind for all of this game. Even down to the end game here, I don't think I had an out at any point in time, which is credit to how my opponent played it. So he's going to buy the last two provinces as I mentioned, and that is game 3 for you. Thank you for watching, and I will see you.